then, yeah, hello everybody, and welcome to our product tour on corporate real estate management with BuildingMinds. We are really happy to have you here today on this, at least in Berlin, really nice and sunny afternoon. I am here with my colleague Tobias Struck. Tobias Struck is the head of our product development and thus responsible for the development of our software as a sales platform. And he will give us at the beginning an introduction on next level corporate real estate management, addressing some topics around what are challenges today, what to do, how can BuildingMinds support you in this. I am Thomas Brunner from the sales team as an account executive. And when Tobias will be done with this general introduction, I will show you a little live tour of our platform. We will take a look into it and show you how it actually looks like, how it's working. And of course, feel free to put your questions into the chat anytime during the presentation, and otherwise, we will have some time afterwards to discuss a little bit on upcoming questions from your side. Yeah, so then, Tobias, the stage is yours.
Yes, thank you very much, Thomas, and also welcome to everybody from my side. Let me quickly share my screen. I hope you can see it now. Great. Yes. So, yeah, as Thomas already said, my name is Tobias Struck. I'm head of product management, actually not product development, but that's only a small side note. Yeah, I would like to spend some time here to look together with you on our vision of the next level of corporate real estate management. But before we do this, let me share some information about BuildingMinds with you. So BuildingMinds was founded in the year 2019 as a corporate startup by Schindler with the goal to strengthen the digital footprint of Schindler in the building area and also to fulfill requirements Schindler got from their customers. And as Schindler is pretty well known for its hardware in the building markets, but not that much known for software development, we looked for a partner, and we found a very good partner in Microsoft, with whom we are in really very close contact now. Okay, that's enough about BuildingMinds for now. Let's come back to our actual topic, the real estate or the corporate real estate management. And the whole corporate real estate management changed a lot in the couple of last years. So the Corona crisis just boosted this development, but in general, the whole corporate real estate management becomes more and more strategic. And I would like to look with you into 4 use cases that are on top of mind of a lot of corporate real estate managers at the moment, which is the flexible space management, the race to net zero or everything around sustainability, in general, the global portfolio performance, and the war of talents, which might not be that is not something which you directly associate with corporate real estate management, but you will see what an important role you as corporate real estate manager can play in this area. The question is now a little bit, what do all these use cases have in common, right? And the point is they are all relying on data, right? And that is where BuildingMinds is coming into play. So what we do at BuildingMinds is integrating a lot of different data sources so that we are able to create a 360-degree view on the building portfolio in one platform for all aspects of the building, right? And having all the data and being able to combine these data and applying artificial intelligence, for example, machine learning on those data, we are then able to help companies to increase their productivity, to increase the well-being of their people, achieve efficiency gains, reduces costs across their whole portfolio. What does this mean for the single use cases. I already said data is key for the future-proof corporate real estate management. And what does this mean here in the area of flexible space management, right? So all companies have faced a tremendous change in the way how people are working at the moment. And it's now nearly 1.5 years. So also we at BuildingMinds, we're all working in one office together, and from one day to the other, everyone was sent home, and we had to learn new ways of working in the end. And that's also the feedback we got from our customers, where they say, okay, it's somehow working, at least on BuildingMinds side, it worked pretty well. Nevertheless, this whole situation where a lot of companies learn new ways of working, and we also see that people are now requesting and demanding more flexible workspace usage. There are a lot of questions coming up, and it's really, the question is, what does all these mean for the future, for the spaces of a company, of a corporate that is provided to their employees, right? How does the whole corporate real estate management strategy is impacted by this? And yeah, this is going along with a lot of questions that are still unanswered at the moment, right? They are not new, these questions, but they are now coming more and more into focus. For example, the question, how much space is actually required after the crisis, yeah? And what kind of space is required? So do you expect your employees to come back to the office and just sit there silently in front of their laptops and work there without any other communication? Or do you think that the office is more becoming the creative area where people are meeting and collaborating together? Or is the community aspect more important, where people meet casually over a coffee and discuss topics without any specific agenda, right? Also the question where the spaces will be needed in the future. If my people anyway are working a lot from home, do I still need the flagship or the lighthouse office in the middle of the city center, or is it better to have maybe some satellite offices in the suburban regions? Yeah. Answering those questions is definitely not easy, and you cannot look into people's minds what they really want to have in the future, and we all have to see how we develop in the future here with our own habits. But the good news here is that data can help you a lot with this, right? And it doesn't have to be a fancy solution where you have all sensors plugged to all the desks and the different chairs and whatever. You can start really simple with that. Yeah, think about your room booking solution, for example. Yeah, if you start analyzing just how many meeting rooms have been booked during a certain time. Yeah, and if you then maybe even add further information from your sensor, Wi-Fi sensor signals. Yeah, then you can already identify how often are rooms booked, how many people are actually in these rooms, do they show up or do they book it and then there are no shows. And if you then maybe have an access system, yeah, with key cards or something, you can even add those information into this data cluster, let's say, and you are able to analyze, okay, how many people are actually in the building, how many of them are actually in my meeting rooms, and there you can already get an idea how people will start using the spaces you are providing to them in the future. And for that, you do not even need new hardware. Yeah, it's just the data which is already split it into a lot of different silos, then brought together. Yeah. And of course, you can have more advanced solutions with sensors. We did this, for example, here in one building together with Schindler. So we equipped one building with several hundred sensors. So every desk has its own sensor. We are now waiting for people to actually come back after the Corona crisis. So we already can see that we had a pre-pandemic traffic of more than 1,000 people here per day. We can see also in red now that the current situation is much less. Nevertheless, as soon as the people are coming back, we are then able to really identify the needs the people have here in the different spaces. Another use case, which is more and more important, is the race to net zero. And actually this race is pretty fast, and we have to act pretty fast because 30% of CO2 emissions in Europe are actually coming from buildings. And this is a huge potential which we can act on to reduce the general CO2 emissions globally, because what you can see here, the later we reach the peak of the CO2 emissions in the world, the steeper the curve has to be to reach the overall target of 1.5 degree of global warming, right? And because of that, a lot of companies have already started to define their goals, carbon neutrality or even carbon negativity in the year 2030, 2040, 2050, whatever. The problem is a lot of those companies do not know where to start, right? And besides that, that we have this social or this aspect, there's also the political situation is changing, right? So we have the Paris Agreement, the EU taxonomy for sustainable activities. More and more, the whole political climate tends towards sustainability, and also investors and people are asking for more and more green solutions for buildings, so that they are still willing to invest, to work, to live in those buildings. And together with the taxonomy, this means that sustainability becomes even a financial KPI. And as buildings bring a big part in this area, this means that the corporate real estate management becomes an even more strategic focus, as it already has today. For that, again, several questions need to be answered. And the question here is, can you answer those? Do you know which measures you have to take to reduce the carbon footprint of your buildings and your whole portfolio? Do you know how to identify the stranded assets of your buildings? Or what is actually the carbon emission of your building? Again, data will help. And there is already a lot of data available. Nevertheless, some of them are really hard to capture. So if you have analog meters, you will have to apply some apps. I mean, that's the good news. Again, there are mobile apps available. There are solutions available also within BuildingMinds to capture those information. But you can think further in the future. If there's smart meters, if there are other IoT consumption data, you can get the data from the utility providers. You can get the data from the energy invoices, and bringing all this together and combining this with the workspace utilization data, you're really able to correlate every data point here and really get more insights, more efficient insights that will enable you to really maximize the energy efficiency of your building, and at the same time reduce the carbon footprint of your building portfolio. Another aspect is the global portfolio performance. And even this third use case, if you keep the previous two in mind, gets somehow a new flavor, right? So because the whole workspace situation after the Corona crisis, the sustainability race to net zero, this is all bringing some new aspects to the whole global portfolio performance management for a corporate real estate manager. And we at BuildingMinds can support this with our general platform. And I would quickly like to tell you what we're actually doing at BuildingMinds. That is providing a platform with a digital building twin as its core, in which we have space and area information, we have documents, we have, of course, all equipment in the digital building twin, and if available, also sensor data, so that we do not only have a static view, but also a dynamic view on the status of the building, on the conditions of the equipment within the building. Nevertheless, the single building view or the single building twin is still very limited, yeah, and you can get some structured insights about the building, but the actual game changer is really happening when you have a complete portfolio of building twins, yeah, and not only stored with master data, but also added further data sources like ERP data, so cost data, for example, from ERP system, computer-aided facility management system, IWS systems, and so on and so forth. So all data sources that are still floating, or they're floating around the building, have stored in different silos. If we bring all this together on one platform, you're really able to boost your analytical capabilities, to create benchmarking and advanced analytics for your building across the whole portfolio, also with market data, and really get the right insights you will need to be able to take real data-driven decisions for your portfolio. And this will enable you to align the real estate strategy with the overall company strategy. I don't want to say in real time, but at least in a very agile way, which is really necessary today because of all the things that are changing pretty fast all around us, right? And also here, I've prepared some questions that we can help you to answer. So we already talked about how many office locations and how many workplaces will be required after the crisis. Yeah, how will mobile working impact the portfolio strategy? Where do I need offices? Do I want to have offices maybe also close to my customers? Can I have more smaller offices? Do I need one big office? How do my real estate costs compare with internal and external benchmarks? And also here again, data, of course, is key to get those insights, yeah, whether it's an overview of all the locations you're having, all the lease contracts, how long are they valid, what is the WALT, ERP cost data, market data, information about the customer allocation over different geographical locations. And again, correlating this with data from the sustainability area, data from the flexible workspace management utilization will enable you to get the necessary insights to really drive the performance of your global portfolio in the right direction. Last but not least, the war for talents. Here now the question is, how can corporate real estate management actually really support this? And I'm not only talking about talents for the corporate real estate area, but for all positions within a building, right? So young people nowadays, they look for a healthy work-life balance. And this includes also the life at work, let's say. Yeah? So they are really looking for a safe and healthy work environment where they feel comfortable, where they just like to go, where they like to spend time because of the way the spaces, the areas are organized. And of course, this is not only true, let's say, for the young talents, yeah, but also older generations, of course, can profit from this a little bit. For example, when you start supervising the CO2 level of a room and inform people to maybe open the window again, this can actually raise the productivity of everyone in the company, and therefore also benefit for the whole corporation, right? Nevertheless, it's still difficult to say how to actually enable the best working climate for the employees, yeah, or to get to know what attracts talents and what makes them stay. I mean, it's not all about the buildings. Yeah, there are a lot of other topics also important, but with a corporate real estate management, you can at least create the basis for the people to feel welcome, to feel comfortable and to enjoy staying or spending time in your offices, right? And you guess so, again, data is the key. If you really want to supervise the conditions of the buildings, yes, then you will need sensors. So whether it's a CO2 concentration, it's the illumination, temperature, noise, whatever. But imagine having all this data in one platform, combining this with the other use case data from the workspace management, from the race to net zero, from your general portfolio strategy, then you will get really great insights, and you are able to create the best performing corporate real estate management that your company needs. Yeah, this just was a very fast and rough overview about how we imagine corporate real estate management as a next level, and how this is then looking in practice. I think Thomas will show you now.
Yes, thank you very much, Tobias, for these insights. And sorry again, of course, for getting your job title wrong. I practiced before,
no problem.
But still, it's just obviously not my strong suit. So forgive me for that.
No problem.
What we will do now is having a look into our software as a service platform, so that you get an idea how some of the topics that Tobias was addressing now are reflected in here. And by the way, in parallel, we can probably already ask some of your questions in the chat in parallel. So what you do see here is basically, let's say, the first of the three perspectives the BuildingMinds platform is offering you. This is the maps perspective, showing you your real estate portfolio. And let me stress out the fact that in this case, we are looking at a demo portfolio. So it's not real customer data. We don't have access to our customers' data. So each customer has their own tenant. We are showing you a demo portfolio here in Europe. And at the same time, the platform also has a role and access management, meaning that you can define different roles with different levels of access to buildings, to certain kinds of data. We are now logged in, let's say, as an owner or a real high-level corporate real estate manager. So we have all possibilities to see all data, but this can be customized as needed. So we can orient ourselves in the portfolio, let's say here nation-wise. We can go directly to the respective countries. You can see that on the right, we already are showing some kind of report, in this case, on energy demands. This also can be adapted and customized as you need it. We can already filter here, let's say, for example, by asset class, or also by, here it's called funds. We can reflect any structure of a real estate portfolio you would need here, like for business units, regional organizations of your company or whatsoever. So let's go into the map and let's navigate directly to Berlin. And here we have 3 sites in this demo portfolio. We will take a closer look on the one in the south of Berlin here in Mariendorf. You can see here on the right, we have the structure, it's Berlin, the site is Mariendorf, it's 3 buildings in total. And when I'm clicking on one of them now, I am opening the second perspective of the BuildingMinds platform, which is the digital twin. So now here you can see the digital twin Tobias was talking about as the essential pillar of the representation of buildings and portfolios within our platform. And it starts with some basic master data, with some basic alphanumerical data, like where is it, what is the space, since when is it in the portfolio, floors, and so on. So really some basic information, photos, localization, and whatsoever. The digital building twin can have, let's say, different sizes. You can start with a really small digital twin with only master data, and you can enrich it step by step. For this project here, we really push the limits, let's say, and we just integrated more or less everything that is possible to show you the possibilities of the BuildingMinds platform. And so what we can see here is we have implemented a 3D model of the building, a BIM model. And here, of course, we can represent just the basic space. And also what we can do is we can visualize all sorts of sensor data that is related to all these things like space utilization, well-being, and so on. We were hearing about just before. So if we take a look here as an example, and we take a look onto the space utilization, I'm just activated here. So I'm hovering over this room, for example, here, and I can see there is a defined number of maximum 12 people that should be in there. There is none in, so no problem. Obviously, we don't have any exceedings. Like here also we have 0 or 4. So here you see it's 1 of 4. So here you can easily keep track of room occupancy and space utilization. Same thing goes for everything that has to do with well-being. In this case, and I can also show you a little bit more details when I am opening these the data here. The building is equipped with all sorts of sensors capturing, for example, temperature. So we can here see that for each room we have temperature values, and they are represented in here, visualized, and we can also see keep track, of course, of how it's developing, when it was maximum, minimum, and so on. The same goes for humidity, for carbon dioxide concentration. So all these important factors for the well-being and the productivities of your employees, as an example. The same thing goes for the representation of technical building equipment. As you can see here, like the orange ones, this is just like some basic equipment. We have a lot of air conditioning here, for example. We have some fire protection doors or venting systems. The green ones, this is actually technical equipment that also creates live data or near live data, let's say. And when I'm clicking on this, and then I'm seeing my data here, and let's go a little bit more into detail. I can open this. And here goes the same thing as for the buildings. I have some master data. What kind of equipment is it? When was it built in? When does the warranty end? And so on. So all these kind of information. We also have the possibility to track the live data from the equipment over here. In this case, it's a Schindler elevator, but we are, of course, also open to connecting any other manufacturer of elevators or other technical equipment. We're completely agnostic to manufacturers. In this case, it's connected to Schindler Ahead. This is basically how it works. We are connecting the equipment cloud to cloud. So in this case, in this building, some of the sensor data is coming from the building management system. Some sensors have their own cloud system, and technical equipment has also its own cloud solution. In this case, it's Schindler Ahead, which is connected here. And it gives us some real-time or near real-time status, like, for example, is my alarm working? Or obviously there is for the moment a problem with the buttons and the indicators inside, but the overall status is okay. I can trace availability and problems, like when there is problems, when there is failures of the lift. So, and same thing as Tobias said before, we already integrated other sorts of data, in this case repair cost, which is obviously pulled from another system, like most likely an ERP or a CAFM system. So here you can already have an idea about the integration of different systems is working here. We can also trace all kinds of activities on every level, building level, site level, or also technical equipment level. Here, this is just some examples, like, you know, we put some contract review or whatever. It can be assigned to somebody, which is not in this case. You have an actual status. Is it done? Is it still open? Is there a due date? So, of course, you can reflect also maintenance activities here. The idea is here, again, not necessarily that this is done directly in the BuildingMinds platform, but ideally like imported from the various CAFM systems you or your external service providers are probably using to keep track of this. So you always have up-to-date information on maintenance status, And that same thing that goes with it is also a tracing of documents. Like here you can put any kind of documents related to buildings, to equipment, just picking an example randomly. Like here we have just a user manual of a fire protection system. Of course, you're also able to store any kind of maintenance documents that are probably signed and stamped, and thus also follow your documentation obligations on the status of your technical equipment. Okay, I think this is so far a first look into the possibilities of the technical, of the digital building twin. We can also implement a 3D indoor navigation and point cloud visualization, all these kind of things. Of course, you can also put normal two-dimensional ground floor plans, also no problem. The strong part of the platform comes when we take a look into the third perspective, which is the insights perspective. And this is where the dashboards are, where you can have all kinds of KPIs and data sliced and diced and analyzed as you need them. The dashboards can be customized following your needs. And we have some example dashboards here. There is a finance dashboard. Here we are still on the level of one building. And when I'm just clicking this now on, let's say, Germany, for example, you see it's adapting directly. Or when we go really upwards to the whole portfolio, then you can see how the dashboards are directly adapting. And in this case, it's a bit more, let's say, real estate performance KPIs. But of course, the same thing is working for space utilization, or also well-being, so that you can always keep track of how are the conditions for my employees or the users of my buildings, and you can keep track of how this was developing also in the past. I would like to address a little bit more in depth one very, very important topic Tobias was also talking about, which is energy consumption, resource consumption monitoring, and related to this also the calculation of an operational carbon footprint, and how to analyze and how to strategically develop your building portfolio in order to meet future regulations coming by EU taxonomy and all the things that go with it. So the first point is, of course, to get an overview about the energy consumption of your buildings. And we have, like, of course, electrical energy, we have heating, where we have different fuels, can be district heating, can be oil, gas, whatever. Then, of course, we have water consumption, we have waste, we have probably also fugitives from cooling systems, for example. So you see that this dashboard here brings together all this information, and the same thing by clicking on one of the respective let's say entities here. It adapts and puts the numbers to what selection of my portfolio I have just taken. It takes a while because my internet connection is a bit slow. Same thing also here. Of course, you can apply all kinds of filters again. Let's switch back to Europe. So here, and this is probably also an important information, we're not only offering the software, the platform, the dashboards, but what we also do with our professional services team is we help you to get the data in, meaning that in the beginning of the process, we are looking for where is the data coming from? Is it already there in a digital form, or do we have to probably gather it from meters, from consumption bills, whatever? We have also special apps and tools that help like automatize these processes, so to make sure that the difficult part, which is to get the data in, is addressed, and that at the end it's really up and running for you, and that you just do not have a dashboard with half of the data, but that you have complete data to be able to do what you need. So this is basically, yeah, I was already on carbon emissions. It's based on the resource consumption. So the resource consumption shows us electrical energy, fuels, and so on in kilowatt and megawatt hours in general. And you can here also, of course, make a breakdown into different energy classes and sources from different buildings whatsoever. the carbon emissions. They are calculated based on the energy consumption. We are using the calculation tools of the CREM tool, the Carbon Risk Real Estate Monitoring tool, which was an EU finance project. And the head of this project, Jens Hirsch, has joined BuildingMinds last year. So he's now our expert on sustainability and decarbonization. He helped us implementing all these very nifty tools that helps to calculate carbon footprint, an operational one. And then starting from this, also to analyze the risk for you coming from your portfolio in terms of carbon emissions. And I would like to show you this like so, because here it's, I think, very, it is very like visible when we see the simulation. So basically, what does this CREM tool enable you to? We can choose a decarbonization path coming from the Paris Agreement. And this fixes for each building a budget of energy to be consumed and carbon dioxide or greenhouse gases in general that it's allowed to emit until 2050, when everything has to be carbon neutral. So we can see that for the year 2020, our portfolio looks quite okay. Each dot is one building. When I'm hovering with the mouse, I can also see some more information about this building, its budget, and so on. But I can like put this into an animation, and like so, it is very easy to strategically address retrofit measures, for example, for my portfolio, because here I can see how my portfolio will develop, meaning when will my buildings not fulfill these targets anymore, and thus becoming stranded assets, meaning that they do not comply anymore with legal regulations, or that their operational costs are becoming just too high due to too high carbon emissions. So this gives me the tool in order to strategically address these things and to look for what to do with which building first. And I think equally important, same thing I can do also with a price simulation, which also can be done from a whole portfolio or only a part of it. I can use different carbon dioxide prices, and also they are increasing over the years. And this will give me a net present value of all the costs related to over emissions of greenhouse gases within the following decades. So this can also give me an idea of the cost that can be produced if I am not becoming active and retrofitting my buildings or adopting my portfolio accordingly. Okay, I think that should be enough for a first overview and a first look into the BuildingMinds platform. And I hope it gave you at least a first impression and idea of the way we are tackling some of the very important and major topics Tobias was addressing in his general presentation. We are here, of course, to answer your questions afterwards here. Just put them into the chat. And otherwise, Toby, if you would like to add something, feel free to do so. Otherwise, I would like to thank you all for your time today, for being here with us, for your interest in BuildingMinds, and of course, feel free to reach out on any channels, if it's like directly to us now via chat on our website, where you can also book a personal product demo directly if you want. You can connect with us on LinkedIn if you like. So just feel free to reach out. Thank you very much.